Live from San Diego, California.
We go live to the newsroom with your host
for Nick's Nerd. Well, hello and welcome to another rendition of Nick's Nerd News. I'm your host, Nick. Welcome to the show. As always, a shameless plug here. Follow the show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Nick's Nerd News. Check out nicksnerdnews.com. You can find links to all of the social medias there, as well as the show. You can listen to it there. It also has links to our Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes pages as well, if you prefer to listen on the go on your preferred streaming device, service, things like that. We got a doozy this week. It was Star Wars Celebration this past weekend in Chicago, so we're going to kick off the show with that, and then some video game news. Not as much as there has been lately. Some TV stuff is going on. Disney Plus, pretty much everything got announced for that, so we'll spend a good chunk of time talking about that, and then get into some movie stuff here. But let's get right into Celebration news, and fuck that trailer, huh? God damn. I know one person who's happy. Of course, that's my terrible, terrible, terrible interpretation of a Palpatine laugh. But yes, the Rise of Skywalker. It is official. Star Wars Episode 9 will be called The Rise of Skywalker, and it will feature the return of Emperor Palpatine. Palpatine, in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, we don't know anything yet. We just heard his voice. But there were some epic fucking shots in this trailer. It opens with Rey in a desert, and something's flying towards her. And then you see it's Kylo's TIE silencer from The Last Jedi. She ignites her lightsaber, which somehow she's repaired from The Last Jedi. And it's this epic thing where it looks like Kylo's about to run her down. She fucking flips over it, does this awesome jump. That's really cool. Cuts to some other scenes going around to different planets. It looks like we'll be returning maybe to Tatooine, maybe somewhere else. Pictures of Carrie Fisher as Leia. Obviously, she's back. They announced that a little while ago. Scenes of Kylo repairing his helmet. That's where he's going to get these like weird red streaks from. That's on marketing and was rumored a while back. We got to see Billy D. Williams back as Lando, and it is confirmed that he will be wearing his yellow outfit, similar to the one he wore in Solo. We see epic action shots. Looks like there's going to be some crazy chase scene on a skiff of some kind through a desert with C-3PO and Finn and Poe, which looks cool. We got to see a new droid, Kylo in some epic battle on a planet, and then all in the meantime, there's voiceover from Luke. There's a lot of callbacks to the trailer for the Phantom Menace, actually. So like it kind of starts with every generation has a legend, which is the prevailing theory right now is that maybe the term of Skywalker is going to become more of this. It's like a very Arthurian legend at this point. Now, that was kind of hinted at in The Force Awakens. Like, you knew Luke Skywalker thing with Rey and Han and everything like that, and the stories are true. All that kind of stuff. And then it cuts to Luke saying no one's ever really gone or something along those lines. And Rey, Poe, Finn, and Chewie or someone are on like this cliff looking out over an ocean, and this is the money shot of the like a huge chunk of the Death Star in this ocean. It cuts to black, then you get the Emperor laugh and Rise of the Skywalker. And this trailer stirred up feelings in me that I 100% did not get with the Force Awakens trailer. I did not get with the Last Jedi trailer, and maybe part of it is about the saga coming to an end and things like that, but it looks so fun, and my trepidations about JJ coming back are, don't get me wrong, they're just not as strong so much now, especially with with the Emperor coming back in a way, and I'm excited because the Emperor's one of my favorite characters in the films. Granted, a portion of his backstory got punted with the changeover to Disney, and Darth Plagueis kind of delved into that, but unfortunately that book of all the books lives in this like ambiguously canon, not canon state. And granted, the whole story with him in the old EU, with him coming to life with the clones and all stuff, that's obviously gone. Right now, a lot of people are talking online, will he be a Force ghost? Was he using Snoke as a vessel? Are those like weird droid things coming back that were in the Battlefront 2 campaign, which is canon, and then one of the comics that took place post Return of the Jedi? It's just, I am so excited for this movie. And granted, it's just a teaser. We don't really know a whole lot, and not a lot's been announced yet, but a lot of stuff to muster over for the next, 9 months or so before the movie comes out. I cannot wait to see what happens. The big thing now, another big question is, what planet is that Death Star wreckage on? Is it Endor? Is it the moon of Endor, the forest moon of Endor, which is technically where Return of the Jedi takes place? It's not, you're not actually on Endor, but the forest moon. And the debate has been raging: is the moon Endor? Is the main planet Endor? Like Yavin 4 in A New Hope. Yavin is the main gas giant, the big red one that you see, and then Yavin 4 is the moon that they're on with the Rebel base. Hell, is that the Death Star 2? Is that the Death Star 1? So many different things, because they can play around with that. Another thing is, could it be light years away? Because, that blast was big enough to send chunks hurtling miles, Newton's law or the law of physics, whatever, which one it is. It's things just keep moving until an opposite reaction or force stops it. So it's been 40 years. You don't know how far or fast it was going. It could have been propelled somewhere else. And granted, just because they play the Emperor's laugh over it doesn't necessarily mean it's the Death Star 2. It's when a chunk like that is on a planet, you don't know which one it is, because it's going to be huge anyway, because it was literally the size of a moon, and it's showing off the reflector dish, the part that fired the laser, or that section of the Death Star. So again, we don't know. The thing that people made it for sure know that it was the Emperor, though, is Ian McDiarmid, the actor who actually plays him, came out to the panel right after the trailer ended and was essentially like confirmed he's in the movie, and was like, play it again in his like Emperor voice, or roll it again, or something like that. Man, I really fucking wish I could have been at Celebration in Chicago this past year. But anyway, a lot to ponder. A lot of theories are going to start running around now that we have some more concrete details, albeit minor, but obviously start speculating wildly as we get closer and closer to the release of The Rise of Skywalker. But obviously that wasn't the only major news at Celebration. We also got news about the Clone Wars. So that will be returning for Season 7, its final season, on Disney+, the new streaming service. It will focus on 4 different arcs of 12 episodes. And what's this here? So 4 episodes are going to be around the Bad Batch, where this like spec ops unit of clones. These episodes were actually released a while back, and in raw form, like not finished editing or anything, just some voiceover work and like early modeling. And I actually got to see an episode or 2 when I was at Celebration in 2015. So that they finished those up, and those are going to air. There's going to be a story arc centered around 1313, the level on Coruscant that the canceled game was going to be about, with a focus on so this 1313 arc and then the last arc are actually all going to be revolved around Ahsoka, kind of after she left the Jedi Order and things like that. And then the Siege of Mandalore will finish out the season, obviously around the Republic going to help free Mandalore from the clutches of Maul and Death Watch and things like that. So maybe we'll get an idea of what happened to Maul to after after Clone Wars at least, up to Solo, and then obviously post Solo and in the Rebels territory as we see him when he meets his end, and he's a lot older looking than he did in Solo. So there was that. That's all we really got in Clone Wars. There was some footage shown off. Looks like the clones, they had that orange marking on their helmets as an homage to Ahsoka, who joins Anakin and the clones in their fight for Mandalore, even though she's technically not a Jedi anymore, things like that. But it was just some rough stuff, not exactly finished. Hopefully that will be ready to go in November when Disney Plus launches. Also got some footage of The Mandalorian. Unfortunately, that footage was not shown off to the public. However, they did show off, they introduced us to the main cast, as well as some information on the characters and things like this. That will be available day one on Disney Plus when it launches. Obviously, Pedro Pascal confirmed as a cast member, and he will play the Mandalorian, no name yet. Gina Carano will play a character called Cara Dune. She's an ex-Rebel shock trooper at odds with Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian. It seems like they start off as antagonists and end up teaming up together. Carl Weathers, I don't know if that was ever confirmed. He's playing a character named Grief. He essentially hires bounty hunters for jobs and things like this. So it looks like he hires the Mandalorian, and they're sent to meet with a mysterious character. This is actually, why can't I think? Werner Herzog's character, and he hires the Mandalorian to go on this quest of some sort, but looks like that's going to happen. Everyone thought that Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, while he is confirmed to be directing an episode and is voicing a droid, it turns out it's not IG-88 like everyone had assumed, but it's actually IG-11. Similar droid, similar characteristics, not a whole lot of backstory there. They showed off the new ship, the Razor Beast or Razor Wing or something. I can't remember. The panel was very long, but the new ship that the Mandalorian will pilot, it looks really cool. It harkens back to Jaster's Legacy, which is the ship that was in the Bounty Hunter game with Jango Fett. It was a ship that Jango Fett had prior to getting Slave One, and it almost looked like an old style, like biplane that would land on water, like a seaplane, almost like the plane in Tailspin. Had that kind of look. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this new ship for the Mandalorian, which is really cool, kind of tying in the old EU to it kind of things. It's got these big thruster engines that would look like they'd fit on a modern day plane like today. That was really cool. Granted, not a whole lot more on that just yet. We'll know when it launches in the fall. Also announced a Tantive 4 Lego special editions, like $200 or $300. The Tantive 4 is the ship, the Rebel blockade runner, essentially, the ship that opens up Star Wars in A New Hope. The other big announcement, we got some other stuff to talk about. The biggest announcement, though, was definitely Fallen Order, EA's new Star Wars game. So Jedi Fallen Order, epic trailer, by the way. Will star Cameron Moynihan. You might know him as the Joker, or Jeremiah, from Gotham. He was also in Shameless, things like this. It's no Frostbite, no microtransactions, no multiplayer. So this is clearly something that the fans have wanted. EA is obviously trying to make amends, which is really shitty for Amy Hennig and Visceral, because this is the type of game they were making, and they got shut down because EA didn't want to make a single player game like this. And anyway, it releases on November 15th. It's set shortly after Revenge of the Sith. They said a couple years after. Speaking of years after, Mandalorian takes place 5 years after the Return of the Jedi. So just a little offshoot there. But back to Fallen Order. It will not be a stealth game. It will focus on action. There will be wall running, which makes sense because it's being made by Respawn Entertainment, who made Titanfall 1 and 2 and Apex Legends. And wall running was a major point in the Titanfall games. So there will be 3 versions you can pre-order now. There's the standard version, the deluxe version. Granted, we don't really know anything about it other than it gets you cosmetic stuff available. GameStop has an online bundle, though. I guess it's the deluxe version, and it comes with an exclusive Black Series figure. If you don't know Black Series, there's Hasbro's like larger action figure line for Star Wars, like the stuff that's built more for collectors than just a general toy. The main character's name is Cal. He's a former apprentice. It looks like he's working on a planet where they put all the Venator Star Destroyers. Those are the Star Destroyers from Episode 3 and the Clone Wars. And they're like taking them apart, obviously to help fund the Imperial War Machine. Something happens. His force capabilities get shown off. Then he starts getting hunted by Imperial Inquisitors, and it was confirmed to be the second sister. These are like the Inquisitors that you saw in the Rebels show. New type of trooper called Purge Troopers, and this will all take place in the game. Like I said, single player focused narrative. Definitely check out the trailer, because I can't do it justice describing it. That's something you got to watch. Along with the Rise of Skywalker trailer. If you didn't see that, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Got some news on Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Yoda will be there, Hondo, Rex from Star Tours. They'll also have some really cool branded Coke products in like these special bottles that fit Star Wars. And they'll actually be, it won't say Coca-Cola in English, but it will actually say it in Arabesh, which is the alphabet in Star Wars. There's some other news I want to cover. I mean, I know we're talking about Star Wars Celebration a lot, but I love Star Wars, and that was the biggest news this week. We got some news at the Star Wars Episode 9 panel. They announced that it won't take place exactly after The Last Jedi. They were able to build the story around Leia, and they had enough footage that was unused from The Force Awakens to use in this movie to help drive the plot. The Force Awakens. If you don't remember or never got the art books or looked at stuff online, the Force Awakens had some concept art that focused on like the Death Star underwater or the Emperor's throne room underwater. A lot of people seem to think that came back as a way, or that was brought up to help drive the story for this movie. Clearly, with the Death Star ruins being in an ocean, things like this. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It was also announced that George Lucas was involved. They consulted him before they wrote the script, and apparently Palpatine has been in the plan all along since before The Force Awakens. I take that with a bit of a grain of salt. I mean, that seems like they're backtracking a bit and trying to make it seem like, oh, we've had this planned all along, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to believe it, but I do at the same time, and it puts more faith in. And granted, I loved The Last Jedi, and I thought The Force Awakens was sad. But again, it will be interesting to see how all this plays out and if it makes sense or not. You know what I mean? If the story makes sense. And Rian Johnson, I know a lot of people don't care. He did say that he doesn't care if it retcons The Last Jedi, but did say that he loved the trailer and loved everything in it. Right? But a little bit of sad news here. Bob Iger said he was speaking to Bloomberg, Bob Iger, the head of Disney, and said, "We will take a pause sometime and reset. Because the Skywalker saga comes to an end with this 9th movie, there will be other Star Wars movies, but there will be a bit of a hiatus." Well, this makes a whole lot of sense to me. Obviously, I'm upset, but we've been kind of oversaturated with Star Wars lately since Disney took over. Granted, the original trilogy came out between 77 and 83. There was some stuff in the 90s. It was mostly books and comics and games. The prequels didn't come out until 99, and those went from 99 to 2005. You know, there was a 3-year gap in between each one. And then, granted, we had a TV show and games, obviously, but then there was another 10-year gap between movies. So I'm fine with this. I mean, Star Wars movies have been coming out a year after each other pretty much, which in the past it was 3 years in between, not a year in between. And Mark Hamill actually was interviewing with the Hollywood Reporter, and he said, "I'm not going to tell Disney how to run their business, but there is a possibility of Star Wars fatigue." Yeah, I think there is. I've experienced it to a certain degree, but they never listen to my ideas anyway, so who needs them? Granted, that's a little cavalier, and he's frustrated, obviously, with how they sold him on coming back to the movies, and it didn't play out that way. But I can see Star Wars fatigue where it doesn't exist in superhero movies, because superhero movies, especially in the MCU, everyone plays out differently than the last. Winter Soldier plays out like a political thriller movie, and Thor Ragnarok came off like a sci-fi comedy. Things like this. They're all different. They fit in different genres and have different things that work differently. Whereas Star Wars is all the same pretty much and focuses on this like single narrative. So I can 100% wholeheartedly believe in Star Wars fatigue, especially because it's almost, while it's undersaturated compared to like the Lucas years in terms of books being released and games and things like this, but we're oversaturated with the movies, which is a completely different experience. And like I said, I'm saddened by this, but at the same time, it gives them time to stop, think, and really focus on what's next. And speaking of what's next, Kathleen Kennedy was talking, again, to Hollywood Reporter, and said, "I'm sitting down now with David Weiss, with Weiss and Benioff, the creators of Game of Thrones, and Rian Johnson. We're all sitting down to talk about where do we go next. We've all had conversations about what possibilities might be, but now we're locking it down, We are looking at the next saga. We are not just looking at another trilogy. We're looking at the next 10 years or more." So a lot of people read this as maybe Rian Johnson's and Weiss and Benioff's trilogies, each separate trilogies, are going to be more connected than we thought. I look at it as more as, hey, we're the stewards of the next generation. Let's figure all this out. Kathy said stuff about the Knights of the Old Republic, and they're looking at that, and a lot of people think that they're developing something, but they're just looking at developing the Knights of the Old Republic era to see if they want to do something with it. So it's more along the lines of, let's chalk this up to a treatment or a pitch or something, but not necessarily concrete evidence of anything. But who knows? We'll know. But that's the biggest stuff that came out of Celebration. I can't wait to see what happens in the next couple months with the Rise of Skywalker. I want to take you guys on this journey with me. And obviously, as more news breaks, we'll talk about it more and more. And of course, I'll geek out harder than ever on this stuff. But that's it for Star Wars. Let's kind of get to the real stuff that you guys are used to listening me babble on about. So somehow I completely forgot to talk about it last week, but Tropico 6 is out. I have been playing it. I've probably played about 10 hours or more. I'm really liking it. I think it's the most user-friendly of all the Tropico games. It's definitely been able to build on all the previous iterations and everything they've done in it. It's got a lot of quality of life improvements. That's definitely the biggest thing. It's also made some improvements in terms of how the game plays and how the story progresses throughout the game. They've added a lot more replayability to it and a lot of different ways that can affect how to play the game. And the biggest thing for me, though, is that you can finally build like bridges across like the shorelines and stuff, because you couldn't do that. And I don't want to say verticality, but there's a lot more expandability on the islands. Like, you can take advantage of more space than you were able to in the previous games. Hell, you can even build like tunnels through mountains now that you couldn't before. So it opens up a realm of possibilities. And right now, I would definitely give Tropico 6 like an 8.5 out of 10. I'm loving it. It's a great city builder. Haven't jumped too much into the missions because I just wanted to play around in the sandbox and get a feel for the game. And granted, the missions aren't going to change my mind, because people play RTSs and city builders not so much for the missions, but just to dick around and have as much fun as possible as they can. But yeah, Tropico 6. Sony has filed a patent for VR-compatible prescription glasses, because right now the biggest issue with people who wear glasses is VR doesn't really work for them, and you can't wear your glasses in VR headsets because of the glare and how that works. It's not exactly something that is user-friendly, but they're working on something for that. There were rumors and some tweets came out that Stage Creator is finally coming to Smash Brothers. You'll be able to build your own stages. No official announcement, though. And hey, while you were sleeping, PSN, PlayStation Network name changes are officially live. The first time is free. It's $10 after that, or $5 if you have PS Plus. Your original ID will always be available if you ever want to go back. Games published prior to April 1st of 2018, though, may have issues with the change and could cause the loss of DLC, which is the most fucking retarded thing I've ever heard. Microsoft's had the ability to change their name since the 360 era, and on this shit, you could break your games, essentially. It's dumb. It's frustrating. Very, very frustrating. I don't know. I'm not going to change my name on PSN, though. I have a perfect name, so I'm happy. From Software announced that Sekiro has sold 2 million copies in 10 days, which is a really big feat for them across all platforms. That's really awesome to hear them have some success there. Speaking of Sekiro and From Software, the creator of Dark Souls says he wants to make a Rockstar style narrative game. He loves like that to be able to play in a world like that. Obviously not focus on like skill and things like that, like with Dark Souls and Sekiro, but the ability to build it around the narrative and not skill. Octopath Traveler, one of the biggest exclusives that came to Switch, is now coming to PC. It's a Square Enix old like 8-bit style RPG. So if you never had a Switch or wanted to play that game and you have a PC, you're good to go. You don't need a powerful PC for that game. So it's pretty much good for everybody. Hideo Kojima will be at the Tribeca Film Festival, and he will give an update on Death Stranding. I guess he's giving a panel. He loves film. He likes to. That's why a lot of his games feel so much more like films than they do a traditional game. He'll actually be giving a panel with Jeff Keighley, the guy who does the Game Awards every year. Janina Gavin Carr, I think I butchered her name. She's been in a lot of programs. She was the star of the Battlefront 2 campaign. She was in True Blood. She was in a couple other things. She actually plays a character in the Frozen Wilds DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn. And she was talking off the cuff somewhere, and she pretty much hinted that Horizon Zero Dawn was getting a sequel. I know that I'm pretty sure that was a given at this point, but it's just good to hear that voice actors can confirm things like this. And like Horizon Zero Dawn is what I bought a PS4 for. So I'm totally ecstatic that they'd make a sequel. There's so much potential in that world for them to expand on. And then, I mean, this isn't totally gaming, but it is related to gaming. But apparently, an anonymous millionaire has reached out to a company that caters to millionaires and things like this to get them what they want, essentially. He wants to set up a real-life battle royale on an island somewhere. Granted, without the actual murdering of other human beings. They said they would wear like sensitive body armor that would be able to tell if someone got hit so they could knock someone out of the game, essentially. No word yet on if this is really going to happen. The insurance fees for this would be unreal. And they didn't even say, like, how would you even get people to sign up? Like, how do you qualify for something like this? Do they just get military people? Because that's kind of boring. Do you get regular people and watch them just flail around? It's very Hunger Games. Very, very Hunger Games-esque. But it'll be interesting to see if that really happens, though. But, hey, that's it for gaming. Not a whole lot. I know a huge chunk of time went to Celebration, but that's kind of the biggest news, like I said. Tropico 6, I mean, not much to talk about. A city builder. I hit the major points there. And it was kind of slow in gaming, though. So let's move on to TV here. AMC has greenlit yet another Walking Dead spinoff. This one focusing on younger characters, I guess. Not too much is known, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Another AMC, or was this on AMC? Or USA? The comic book show Preacher, which was produced by Seth Rogen and starred Dominic I can't think of his name, who also played Howard Stark in the MCU. Preacher will end with season 4. It's unfortunate. I never got a chance to watch that show. I know it was based off a Vertigo comic, but that will end in season 4. Ian Glenn of the Resident Evil movies fame, and obviously as Ser Jorah Mormont in Game of Thrones, has joined Titans season 2 as Bruce Wayne. Not as Batman, which obviously I know they're technically the same person, but as Bruce Wayne. So it'll be interesting to see if he only plays Bruce Wayne and not Batman. They were talking to the producers of Arrow, and people asked, obviously, since Arrow's ending next year, is there a chance that there could be a spin-off or a sequel series based in the future version of the Arrowverse, seen in a couple episodes this year with the flash forwards, in Arrow 2049 or whatever they said it was, with Mia and a grown-up William and old Renee and old Roy and things like this. So old Dinah, I don't know, that's who I was trying to say there, but they said, hey, that's a possibility, but who knows what the future holds, really. Hey, pun there, kind of. Chris Hemsworth was, they were doing the interviews, obviously, for Endgame coming up, said he would love to do a Thor Daryl mockumentary series spinoff. So before Ragnarok came out, there was these funny videos of Thor and what he was doing when Civil War was happening, and he was living with this guy Daryl in Australia. They're really funny. You should check them out online. Chris Hemsworth said he would love to do that, and honestly, I think it would be hilarious. I would totally watch. Netflix announced the return of Lucifer. It will come back May 8th for a season 4. Fox canceled it last year. I love Lucifer. I think it's hilarious. It's based off of Vertigo comic, so DC comic technically. That's a spin-off of the Neil Gaiman Sandman series. It's really funny. Great chemistry between the cast. I personally love it because it's a show I watched with my mom, and it's one of the few things we watch together. I'm excited for it to come back. I can't wait. Great win for the fans there to get it to come back. Hulu announced that Future Man, their show that another Seth Rogen produced show, if I'm not mistaken, will end with season 3, which is the upcoming season. It stars Josh Hutcherson, who's also from Hunger Games. A lot of Hunger Games references today. I know it's just 2, but still. And then final bit of TV news. J.J. Abrams and Stephen King have cast Julianne Moore in their show, which is an adaptation of a King work for Apple TV+. And no word on when that will start. But just a hint of TV news today. The biggest TV news, though, obviously, is Disney+, the new streaming service. Disney had an investors live stream last week, just before Celebration, funnily enough. Just dropped the fucking motherload of news on Disney+. Launches November 12th. It will cost $8 a month, $7.99 a month, and will have a plethora of content. Mandalorian Day 1. The Cassian Andor show is confirmed, and Alan Tudyk is actually confirmed to come back as K2SO. Clone Wars Season 7, obviously. Every single Star Wars film will be on there. I don't know if at launch, but they'll be there. They worked out their deal with Turner Broadcasting to be able to show the movies. The Loki show is confirmed with Tom Hiddleston. The show with Vision and Scarlet Knight is confirmed and will be called WandaVision. That's a fucking stupid name. The Falcon and Winter Soldier show is also confirmed. No word yet on when that will take place in the timeline. They're developing a Hawkeye show. Not 100% confirmed. It looks like Jeremy Renner will be involved, but it will be a focus on Kate Bishop, who is like the sidekick to Hawkeye in the comics. A new Monsters, Inc. show called Monsters at Work. Billy Crystal and John Goodman are back. No official start date on that. A Phineas and Ferb movie. The Pixar back catalog. Marvel's What If series. That's to be determined. Captain Marvel will be the first MCU movie that's new. That will be there as the Netflix deal ends. And movies that are no longer on streaming, like Thor, Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, those will be on there. Book of Enchantment series based off of books about Disney villains. A Father of the Bride remake. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids TV show. live-action Lady and the Tramp, which stars Tessa Thompson and Justin Theroux, a Mighty Ducks TV show, a Muppet series, every Pixar short, which is awesome, all Simpsons episodes. This is the big win, because Fox was trying their damnedest to keep this. But every single Simpsons episode will be available on Disney Plus at launch, and it will be the only place to stream The Simpsons. All old Disney animated movies, so they're opening the vault, so movies you can't buy anymore. That's another huge thing. People will be able to get those movies. No R-rated content, obviously. And if you ask me, the biggest get is the Disney Channel's backlog. Every episode of every show that's been on the Disney Channel, and every single original Disney Channel movie. Who's about to get ready for some Brink up in here, bitches? How about some Johnny Tsunami, Smart House, Xenon Girl of the 21st Century? Like, where my people's at? Like this is a 90s kid's dream come true. I'm so excited for this. It's 100% worth the price of admission here. Like 100% worth it. $8. I mean, just for like The Mandalorian alone, obviously, and Clone Wars. But then you get to watch old Disney Channel shows like, I don't know, Even Stevens, anyone? Like, oh, fuck yeah, I cannot fucking wait for that. But Disney Plus, $7.99, November 12th. Just a couple of days before Jedi Fallen Order. And then we move on to the last bit of our show here, and that is movie news. Space Jam 2, I guess, has been hitting some struggles here. It's supposed to start filming this summer, obviously after the NBA season ends. LeBron apparently is having trouble getting NBA stars to come and be on in the movie. A lot of people, this was via ESPN, a lot of people think it's because he expects them to be in the movie and then come play for him in LA. I don't know. And then I heard another thing that I guess something with Nike contracts is holding up the movie as well regarding the shoes, and maybe they're not going to wear Nike in the movie, and LeBron is Nike, and if they get like Adidas or something, there's a lot of legal stuff going on here that shouldn't be holding up a movie, which kind of says maybe the movie shouldn't happen. It is unfortunate to report, but Beetlejuice 2 is pretty much dead again. Tim Burton was giving interviews for Dumbo, and obviously, he was back with Michael Keaton, who played Beetlejuice in the original, and said nothing is happening. So, despite the fact that it seemed like it was all guns blazing last year, not any fucking more. I don't know. The Rock was giving an interview and says Black Adam will begin filming next year. Obviously, Black Adam is the villain to Shazam, which just came out. And hey, Shazam 2 officially got greenlit. Awesome. Director, screenwriter, and producers are all returning. Obviously, while it's made a good amount of money, it hasn't essentially broke even just yet, but it had a low budget, so it's not far from breaking even. It had a really good second weekend. It stayed number 1. So I'm excited. I love Shazam, like I said in my review a couple weeks back. And hopefully they'll tie into Black Adam as well. Got a couple of trailers as well. Like I spoke about Addams Family last week. The teaser was released and looks really funny. Looks like a great vibe on the original comics. Granted, you can't top the movies from the 90s with Raul Julia and Angelica Houston as Morticia. But I can't wait. I'm definitely going to check that movie out at some point. Got a couple trailers for Pokemon movies. We got our first real look at the Mewtwo Strikes Back remake, the 3D remake. Looks awesome. I don't know if they announced a US release or if when the dubbing will start, but you can find that online. I mean, if you've seen Mewtwo Strikes Back, you know this. But what was really awesome was actually the new Detective Pikachu trailer, which it looks like an audition tape, and a lot of Pokemon are shown off in this trailer. A couple of them are blink and you'll miss it type deals. And let me just go over a quick rundown. So it's almost like a casting call. So you see Jigglypuff, Pancham, Pikachu, obviously we've seen a lot of, Apom, Psyduck, but some new reveals. Venusaur, you get a real good look at, very frog-like. Snubble, which raises more questions than answers. Really good look at Squirtle. Good look at Dodrio, Cubone, Eevee, Pangoro, Charizard, blink and you'll miss it, Ludicolo, Emolga, Loudred, Charmander, Sneasel, again, another more questions than answers, Rufflet, Torterra, one of the starters from Gen 4, the fully evolved, I should say, Trico, Krabby, very blink and you'll miss it, Krabby, and then a Magikarp at the end. I think I missed one or two because I couldn't pause the video to get it, but really cool. It's starting to see more Pokemon in the realistic style. Can't wait. That comes out May 10th. We also got a teaser trailer, or more of a trailer really, for the announcement of the Deep Space Nine documentary. That will be a Fathom event later this year. No word on wide release. Kind of in the vein of that documentary made about Leonard Nimoy and Spock and things like this. And it will actually have the first time showing off remastered footage of Deep Space Nine, which has never been done. They did it for the original series. They did it for Next Generation. They never did it for Deep Space Nine or Voyager or anything like this. So if you really like Deep Space Nine, which I liked in the beginning, and as time went on, I kind of grew off that and went more Next Generation and Voyager. But that's coming later this year. And then, hey, Tomb Raider's getting a fucking sequel, dudes. I'm stoked on life. I really liked the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider movie. I know it didn't do well and critics weren't kind, but I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I think Alicia Vikander did very well as Lara. And granted, they hinted at a sequel at the end of the film, and hopefully they'll build off the last two games that have come out since then. But it's getting a sequel. It's official. I'm stoked on life. And then I got some MCU news to close off the day. Black Widow movie is expected to start filming in June, despite the fact that it's not yet official. And which kind of ties in. Kevin Feige was giving an interview, the head of the Marvel Studios, and said they will not announce plans for Phase 4 or the future until after Spider-Man Far From Home comes out. So no word on X-Men, obviously, for quite a while, I think, especially since Dark Phoenix comes out later this year. But maybe we'll have news on Fantastic Four. Who knows, in the Richards family. But that's it. The Russo brothers were also giving an interview and said that they would only come back for one story to tell in the MCU, and that would be Secret Wars. And man, that would be awesome. That would be really fucking awesome to see. Be really expensive, and obviously it'd be very far down the line because you'd need to have the X-Men and Reed Richards and Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom and all that. But that'd be really fucking cool. And they'd be the ones to do it, as they've kind of been the heralds of the MCU lately. Also got Loot Crate and Loot Wear. This month's Loot Wear was really cool. It's a Hawaiian shirt, but it's Guardians of the Galaxy themed. And it's like dark gray and got all the different characters in like a Hawaiian vibe. And then a t-shirt based around Lost in Space that came out last year. And then this month's crate, it's almost like a regression compared to the last few crates that have been coming out. This month's theme was cosmic, and they'd been coming out with like a little magazine like they used to back in the day, and this month feels like a step back, if you will. It comes with just a card that kind of outlines everything that's in it, and the appeal of Loot Crate, one of the appeals, is you get a new shirt every month, like a brand new shirt, brand new theme. It's something different. And this month's theme, this month's tee, they said this month's Cosmic Crate comes equipped with a looter favorite t-shirt from Loot Crate, Loot Gaming, Loot Wear, and more. Not happy because it's a shirt I already have. So that's a huge letdown. It comes with this really cool Captain Marvel 3D comic standee. It's also got a mini Captain Marvel movie poster, an alien face hugger face towel, which is kind of funny. They've been coming out with a lot of alien face hugger stuff. They even had like a little plush toy a while back. A Lost in Space Jupiter 2 notebook, so keeping that Lost in Space thing. And then this really cool enamel pin that looks like a rocket ship flying around the moon. Overall, not super stoked with it, but I don't know. And now they have a Rick and Morty quarterly crate that's coming. They still do the Halo crate that's every other month. They have a sci-fi crate they're starting every other month. They have so many things going on. I feel like they're spreading themselves too thin, too fast. And hopefully it doesn't hurt the overall quality of the rest of the crates, especially the original loot crate. I mean, that's what a lot of people came to them for and signed up for. So we'll see. But hey, that's this week. Thank you guys for listening. We're approaching our 1 year real fast. As always, hey, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Nick's Nerd News. Check out nicksnerdnews.com. You can find links to the show for Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or you can listen to it right there in your browser. And then, of course, I mean, I don't know. I think that's all I really have. But thanks, guys, for listening, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.